Good morning, everybody. It's David Barry here, your National Relocation Director, and we're kicking off our brand new show. We're super excited. This is our Money Matters show. It's going to be a quick show every week. And of course, we got our founder there, Terry Gilliam. Good morning, sir.
Good day, David. It's a beautiful day in Central Florida.
And the one that I'm super excited about is we've got Monty Felts. He works in all 50 states. He does lending in all 50 states. He is an expert on money matters. And this guy's in the top 1% of all lenders across the United States. And he's going to be filling us in every week on what's going on in the housing market, interest rates, you name it. Is it a good time to buy? Is it a good time to move, to relocate? Monty, good morning. How are you?
Yeah, great. Thanks for having me.
And just to recap, basically the show is going to be in a format where I am a licensed realtor in the state of Nevada, and I'm going to be giving tips. I help lots and lots of people do relocations. So I'm going to be giving a quick tip each week about relocations. Terry Gilliam is the expert. He's been featured on Newsweek, so many different publications, Fox News and California Insider. He is becoming the national face of people leaving California, and he's recognized as that. So, Terry's going to be sharing some of the important topics about California. And then, of course, Monty's going to be talking about Money Matters. So, Monty, let's get right into it. Let's talk about Money Matters, because it does.
It does. It does. It is what we're all thinking about. Zig Ziglar used to say, money's not the most important thing, but it's reasonably close to oxygen. So it is something we want to cover every week. The main things from last week, I would say, I took some notes this morning, pulled together some data, because I always want this to be data-driven. I want us to have resources and sources that we are citing, that we are going off of data. This is not opinion, speculation, this is real. And so two main things that stuck out were that home prices are appreciating faster and faster, not just continuing. And then the unemployment hit a 9-month high, the initial jobless claims last week. So few things I want to share with everybody, just so you can kind of ground yourself and take out the negativity from what the media is telling you. On the first one, that opportunity in housing remaining really strong, we got the data for March. And March, we saw, appreciation of 1.2% just in that month of March, versus February of 0.7. So that's a huge increase in 1 month to say that home prices are going up that much. Prices are also 5.3% higher this March than they were last March. So it's not just continuing, it's really appreciating. This is coming from 3 different sources: CoreLogic, Case-Shiller, and then the FHFA. All of these are saying that we're seeing homeownership is still the very best way to build wealth. Real estate is still the best opportunity for you leaving California to go to a place where your money will mean something, both to your family, you can start a new life, but just economically too, you're gonna get a beautiful financial future. On the second point, those jobless claims, that hitting a 9-month high, that's really important. It went up 22,000 in the last week. And that's the highest level that it's been at since August of last year. So that means that 231,000 people filed for unemployment benefits for the very first time. So
wow.
That's really big. It's sad.
That's a lot, yeah.
But it's big, right? The continuing claims, people who have already filed, but they're continuing to file more unemployment claims, that rose 17,000. And so we're currently at 1.7, nearly 1.8 million people are receiving those unemployment benefits. So yeah, I would say it's really sad. I mean, the state of our country, and I know we talk about California a lot and needing to leave and welcome to America and all of that, but America needs help right now. You got to care about your family and take care of your family. But that really is a breakout metric, and it's trending. Those unemployment claims are trending during some of the hottest levels that they've been at in recent years. So it means that we have a softening labor sector. We have weaker expected job growth in April. That'll come out soon here. We're seeing a declining job openings. So those two things stuck out the most to me when I was pulling together what's going to matter for our people. There's a third piece that I didn't mention in the beginning that's probably the saddest of all of it, and it's consumer spending. We as Americans are spending more money than we have ever spent, ever, and it's not good. It's going to have ramifications for us. The most recent data that I pulled was consumer spending for March. That just came out. And so that's showing that we as Americans, the quote was, American households fully spent their pandemic era savings as of March of 2024. It's gone. And so now we're just back to our credit cards. And those hit a new record high. In the fourth quarter of last year, we hit a record high with balances on credit cards of $1.1 trillion in credit card debt. The other big thing that's trending and has come out is the buy now, pay later programs, nearly like layaway. When we were younger, there were layaway programs, but this is a buy now, pay later program, and they're getting really, really popular. You can purchase something now, pay it off later in equal installments. That's great as long as you pay it, but the problem is we're seeing signs of stress on those programs right now. And so I'm gonna give you some statistics of what's happening. 43% of those who owe money on these buy now, pay later programs are behind on their payments. So nearly half of the people are already behind on paying those payments. More than 50% of the people that bought something with that program have admitted that they bought more than they could actually afford. Over 1/3 have turned to these programs after they maxed out their credit cards, then they started doing the buy now, pay later. So that's sad. And then the last part is 24% said that their spending was out of control. I hate that. I mean, it hurts my heart to think about these families and these people that are desperate and they don't know what to do. And we've given them a way to overspend and get themselves in financial trouble. Good news is we can help them. We get people out of credit card debt all the time. We do cash out refis, debt consolidation. There is hope. The worst thing they can do is just not say anything. But consumer spending, just so we know, why does that matter economically? It makes up 70% of our gross domestic product. So GDP is 70% consumer spending. So when we see this slowdown, which is coming, that would be significant. It could point to a slower US economy, weaker inflation, lower rates. Now we've hit a hot topic. So that's kind of good. That's what everybody wants. So what we're going to see this week, we're going to get some readings on producer and consumer price indices for April. Those are going to come out tomorrow and Wednesday. So we're going to get more data on that. Last week, we ended the week trading above our 200-day moving average for mortgage bonds, which is good. That means we're kind of making that move back the right direction. We're going to get that inflation data this week, and that's going to indicate the near-term direction of our markets. The Fed's going to meet again on June the 12th. We don't expect them to drop rates on that day, but they're going to have some new things to have to contend with. Appreciation up, consumer spending way up. So that's where we are. We never promised we'd give a happy fairy tale update every week, but
Monty, if I may, I want to just say I could see why you're in the top 1% of all lenders, man. You got the numbers down, and we're going to say this every week. But if you're thinking about doing anything in the lending or mortgage business, you should really give Monty's team a call. But if you could just be, and I know Terry has a question too. I just wanted, could you be specific to our Leading California members? And what does all this mean for people that are sitting and they're on the fence and they're thinking about leaving California?
Well, one thing it means, Terry was asking me before the show started, how do we explain the fact that home prices went up so much last year, 2023, while rates were going up, and that even though rates have remained high in 2024, the home prices are appreciating at a faster and faster rate? It's really due to the inventory. We don't have enough houses. The builders can't get going fast enough on these houses to keep up with it, and that's a demand while rates are high. When the rates drop, statistically, we see 5 million new buyers nationwide come into the market and become a buyer as soon as the rates drop 1%. So if we do see rates drop 1 or 1.5 or even 2% over these next couple of years, that's going to be 5 to 10 million new buyers. That's a lot of people for these Californians to contend with as they're moving across the country. If I was them, I would do it now. Now is the time. Go ahead and get out of debt, sell that house in California, move to Knoxville, Tennessee, to Charlotte, North Carolina, to Dallas, Texas, to wherever, start your life over and build true wealth. That's what I would say. That's how it applies to them. There's great markets. You just did the Freedom Southern tour. We all got to do that. That was super fun. We saw some great cities that people can move to. And so I would say you just got to take that first step. Call me. We'll customize it to you, to the plan of what do you qualify for? How would this work? Yeah.
Well, and then with that in mind, Monty, there's two things I'd like to bring up. So first of all, look at that. I don't know what's going on with my balloons.
Birthday. No, it's not your birthday.
I don't know what happened there. The first thing is that we talked to some builders in Tennessee last week when we were there 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
The one thing they talked about is appreciation of the goods that they're using to build houses. So houses are not going to get cheaper.
No.
So I'm with you. And I think also that a lot of people are sitting on 3% mortgages and they're not going to sell because they're sitting on a 3% mortgage and don't want a 7% mortgage. And so that's why there's a little inventory. But even if you're waiting for a home builder, a lot of these builders are experiencing great appreciation in the prices they're paying for all of their goods. So that's going to really affect the pricing of the home also. So better to buy earlier than later, especially if you're thinking about leaving in the short term. And then the other question I want to ask you, or the other thing I want to ask you is, I'm old enough, David's close to being old enough to remember stagflation of the early 70s, where we still had inflation even though the economy was slowing. And I could see that as a real thing. Do you have a thought on that?
Yeah, it could be a real thing. I will say David gave me a high compliment by saying that I had lots of good data. I do, but that's from going to sources, knowing the experts, trusting them. It's the same way when you're buying a house, you should trust an expert realtor. I don't care what people read in the media about the NAR settlement. You don't need a realtor anymore. That's just not the truth. You will end up paying way more if you don't do that. And the same thing with coming to somebody like me, it makes a difference because we have data. And so, yeah, the stagflation, the slowing economy with inflation going up, that's a real thing. And we are seeing that for sure. Right now, as you hear these numbers are going up, it's harder and harder for us to live as Americans, and the economy is slowing down. I was reading recession data this morning and reminded that we never call a recession until we're already in one. So it doesn't mean that we're not in one, but that's always a backward looking thing where we see the data and it confirms we've been in one for a certain period of months.
You know, Monty, I had something that was on, this just came up and I hear it all the time. And I want you to address, because, you know, when people are talking to a realtor, they're very leery of, oh, of course, if I talk to a realtor, they're going to tell me to buy. And you brought up a really good point. It's about knowing the facts and going to experts. So you don't want to just listen to one realtor say, yeah, it's time to buy a house. You should really buy a house. And none of our realtors, by the way, in the Leaving California groups act like that. But can you just touch on that real quick? And then I want to get to Terry about what's going on in California.
Yeah, for sure. That is true. If a realtor is doing that's not a good indication. I would say an expert realtor, though, is going to share their opinion. They are experts. They know this. They do this hundreds and thousands of times. You don't want them to just be a yes man and do whatever you want. You do trust them to tell you what you should do, how you should do it, what's going to be the best plan. Still your decision in the end.
Yeah.
The other thing I would say is second homes are great right now. For Californians, even if you're not moving for the next 9 months, year, whatever, go ahead and buy a property in one of those places, Airbnb it, make income, and then you can move into it in a few years or in a year.
That's a great idea. And Terry, so Mr. Expert on Leaving California, what's going on? Is there anything new happening over there?
Well, the one thing I want to talk about, David, is what we experienced on our tour with you and Monty and me and others, was the fact that so many people are moving to the desirable places, Texas, Tennessee, Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, that prices are really, there's a lot of pressure on prices to go nowhere but up. So if you're considering moving to these desirable places, these desirable states, especially those with no state income tax, low cost of living. My son right now is working this summer in Kansas. He paid $2.85 a gallon for gas yesterday. $2.85. Now I can assure you that in California, most prices are $4.50, $5 a gallon. So get out while the getting's good, because Prices are going. And remember, I started this group 5 years ago. You could buy a really, really nice house in a lot of places for under $300,000. Well, there are still places you can do that, but there's not a whole lot of them because prices have just skyrocketed over since the pandemic and continuing on. So my advice is, if you're considering leaving, we're not telling you to leave. If you're considering leaving, look at your options. I would definitely reach out to somebody like Monty, or reach out to Monty and let him advise you on what's going on in the markets that you're considering. Even get pre-qualified. I love the idea of a second home. We have a ton of members that buy second homes that they Airbnb or do something long-term rental, something like that. And then when it comes time to sell, they sell and they move to their second home as their primary.
Well, you know what, Terry, the one thing that I will mention just real quick about California is I have been seeing a lot of videos lately and a lot of news coverage from like places like Santa Monica, Hollywood, and San Francisco, where the vacancy rate is unbelievable. All the businesses are white. There's vacancies everywhere. Businesses are packing up. They've never seen this much inventory on the commercial side, and they're leaving. And one of our mottos is leaving California, welcome to America, less regulations, and being able to have some freedom to be able to run a business without getting strangled. Monty, you want to touch on that at all, or we want to stay away from that one?
No, I don't mind. When we were in Franklin, Tennessee, we got to sit down with Ben DeVos, and he talked about that. He talked about moving to Franklin, people rooting for him, and he said within a couple of years we were millionaires, but not because of us, because people surround you, and it's a community, and they help your business, and they say, we got to support this guy. He said most people at his church are from California, so yeah, there's a lot of fertile ground out there.
And lastly, as I promised, I wanted to share just one relocation tip. And since we just got back from the Southern tour, every realtor that we interviewed, and the main theme of it was every realtor said, come to my city. So for those of you that are thinking about leaving, you really got to go check out these cities. And I want you to just put yourself in that city. Don't even think about the house yet. Just think about the city and figure out, can I really see my family living here? And Terry, every single time, they always say, man, I wish I would have done this sooner. This has been a great show. It probably went a little bit longer than normal, but man, this is some great information. Monty, thank you so much for sharing. I think it makes a lot of sense to our viewers. If you have questions and maybe some of the stuff we talked about you don't quite understand, please definitely hit any one of us three up, and we would love to spend time and go over it. Terry, any parting words?
On other money, you want to give your contact information so people can reach out to you if they want to get the process started?
Yeah, I would say the easiest thing is just Google my name. It's unique enough that you will find me. I'm pretty public out there, but yeah, my cell phone number, if anybody needs it, wants to text me, wants me to customize a plan, is 512-712-3366. You're welcome to contact me. These two gentlemen are making a difference for decades to come in the lives of families, and it's an honor to get to do this with them.
Awesome. Thank you.
And we're going to be doing this show every week. And unfortunately, we weren't able to go live, but we're working on it. Facebook has changed the algorithm a little bit, but we're going to be going live. We're going to do this every week. It's going to be about 10 to 12 minutes. It's going to be a quick blast of what's going on. And we look forward to seeing you soon. I hope you have a great week and a great day.